Hola, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidos a todos ustedes, bienvenidos a un episodio más. El día de hoy tenemos un invitado muy importante en el presente de Therion y que ha estado presente a lo largo de toda la discografía de Therion, siempre haciendo algún rol importante. El día de hoy nos acompaña Albinsson, el actual letrista de la banda. Quédense con nosotros si quieren disfrutar de esta entrevista porque revela dos cosas muy importantes para el futuro de la banda. Son un par de sorpresas bien importantes y esta exclusiva la verdad es que nos tiene bastante contentos. Si quieren saber de qué trata, pues terminen el video hasta el final. También le quiero dar un agradecimiento muy importante a Gabriel. Estuvo con nosotros un capítulo pasado. Hablamos un poco del Flurs du Mal. Sabrán que es súper mega fan de Therion. Él nos va a ayudar con esta entrevista y la llevará por un buen rumbo. Muchas gracias de antemano a Gabriel y los dejamos disfrutar con esta plática con Albinsson.
Welcome to another episode of the podcast Therion, the Fathers of Symphonic Metal. My name is Gabriel Liebenden, and today, surely you will say, and where are my favorite program hosts? Well, today I had the pleasure of being invited to host your show. Since being a writer, they want me to take on a task that was not easy, interviewing another writer. So, in this way, I have the pleasure, honor, and pride to introduce you Mr. Per Albinsson, a Swedish writer and lyricist collaborating with many acts around the world, among those, of course, Therion. Hello, Per. It's a pleasure for us to have you in this new podcast. On behalf of Therion, the Fathers of Symphonic Metal, we welcome you, and it goes without saying that we are eager to talk with you about your work, your influences, and about Therion.
Well, thank you very much indeed. And by all means, thanks for having me.
No. Thanks to you to stay here. It's a very, very pleasure. And I don't know, how about we start by talking about your personal position on occultism, Gothic Kabbalah of Johannes Burius, and the practice, philosophy, and the discipline of the Dragon Rouge. How about that?
No, but I've never been a member of Dragon Rouge or anything as such. And I've never taken part in any rituals or anything practically on a magical level. But I have been interested in studying those issues for many, many, many years, ever since I was in my early teens. And so I've come to study both the religious aspects, the philosophical aspects, and the magical aspects of things. And so on that scale, I'm pretty advanced, but I've never been into the practical side of the magical work. As opposed to Christopher, for instance, he has a long history of that, of course, and I've studied different rituals and stuff, but I've never taken part in them myself.
Okay, and what's the thing that most fascinates you about all this magical stuff, all this? But what aspect those marveled you most about this, about magic and occultism?
To me, it's part of a much broader view on life, I would say, because it's, like I said, I've been studying religious beliefs, and I mean, not just the monotheistic, the big ones or anything, but, the way people view life, their views on life. And when it comes to magical aspects and, the magical spheres of things, those contain very, very deep dimensions that, regardless if you sort of believe in them or not, or if you practice them or not, they're a vital ingredient, I would say, in different views on your actual existence. And to me, I don't really focus that much on anything specific in that sense. I am open-minded totally. I take in everything that comes to mind and everything that I am exposed to on a daily basis. And So magic in that sense, especially if you talk about the bit more dark magic and the left-hand path and so on. That's they go to search for what is actually hidden within the shadows of us as human beings, I would say, and that is always much more interesting than just relying on old tales from the Dark Ages. So I mean that's what I do enjoy about it. That's what I find very, very interesting.
Yeah, right. I do as well, and I found it very fascinating. All those these shadows of human mind, of human being at all. Because I don't want to say only mind, because we are maybe composed by other things, and not only our mind. And as you well said, that the left-hand path and all the teachings about that way of thinking or philosophy, it is always richer. And I want to ask, do you have any relationship, or you had a relationship with Thomas Carlson?
Well, I was about to, together with some friends of mine, we were about to do a documentary on Dragon Rouge. That was back in the early, 2002 or something like that. But and back then we had some mail conversations. But I've never met him in person. I've never been a friend of his like Christopher has and so. But to me, he has always been the lyricist of Therion. That's what he has. But of course, I mean, I have the deepest respect for his magical work and his. I mean, he has really set a new standard for all this sort of draconian magic and stuff. So that is fair play to him. That he is he's really initiated, and far more than I could ever be. So I have the deepest respect for him on all levels.
Yeah, indeed, he have a lot of followers here in Mexico City and in Latin America. There are like new. I don't know if it's a correct word to say, churches or temples. I mean, temples is better of the Dragon Rouge here in Brazil, in Mexico, and he's expanding these beliefs, this philosophy. So it's very amusing and interesting. But I know we all the Therion fans know that Thomas Carlson is for the time he spent on the band's career, like the lyricist of Therion. But nowadays, how does this substitution occur? We know that he was in charge of the lyrics and that his contribution was more along the lines of the academic and the philosophical. And you have previously told us that you go more for the emotional part. Come on, that was made clear in Beloved Antichrist. But now that you're in charge of the Leviathan trilogy, we may find that your style, while personal and noticeable, in this case is closer to that of Thomas Carlson. Could you tell us what your distinctive stylistic hallmark is when you're writing?
Well, as for Beloved Antichrist, that was a separate project altogether. They had nothing to do with any regular Therion material at all. Yeah. So, and that was probably something that, according to Christopher at least, that was something that Thomas Carlson would never have been interested in doing. But as for this Leviathan trilogy now, and whatever Therion albums that may come along, ever since at least Symphony Masses for Dracon Omegas in '93, Therion lyrics have always been sort of focusing on, as you know, the esoteric subjects and the mythicals and the historical subjects and stuff. So that is something that's a tradition that Christopher wished to stick to, and that suits me fine. And as for, let's say if you approach writing lyrics for Therion, you have to sort of keep in mind a few aspects. You have to, of course, be accurate as for the facts and the historical parts of it, and everything that it should be accurate, of course.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to make it singable. You have to make it musical. And I suppose if you want to, if you wish to find some sort of difference between me and Thomas Karlsson as a lyricist, I would say, if the emotional side and the intellectual side of the lyrics, like I said, they have to be approached similar, on a similar line. And if, let's say, Thomas Karlsson, at least to my ears, he chose to focus on the intellectual side of the subjects, on to, like, say, 75% maybe, or something like that, and 25% on the poetic side.
Yeah.
As for myself, I try to balance that a bit more 50-50. At least that's my intention. Whether or not I succeed, that's up to the listener to decide. But I think that's probably the main difference between me and Thomas Karlsson as in our roles as lyricist.
I have to say that yes, there is. I have to praise at first your work in songs like Nocturnal Lights. It's amazing the way you put the lyrics there. Tuonela,
Thank you.
It's very singable. I can notice the difference, but not in a bad way. On the contrary, it's like you suit perfectly the place in this case of lyricist to make these singable songs. For example, Leviathan is a very singable album, and those songs are my personal favorites. And also the song that you write on Spanish, El Primer Sol, is amazing. The way you do it, you do this, and I have to praise that. Of course, and now I heard these three new songs in Leviathan, the three that are available in the streaming platforms. I found it very, very nice. The Litany of the Fallen, of course, it was the first strike. Many people ask that, hey, Christopher, this sounds like Epica. And Christopher said, yeah, but we inspired Epica. So it has perfectly logic. Pazuzu, it's another great stuff, but the last one, Marigin Minar, it's fantastic. We were going back to these songs, so now I want to ask you first this question that has haunted me lately. Is about creative and artistic freedom. We know that Christopher is the captain of the ship, and he usually has the first and last word. Although we do not believe that it is an absolutist situation. Could you tell us about the nuances that exist in this aspect?
Well, when I was asked to do the first lyrics for Leviathan, the first Leviathan album, I think as soon as Christopher sent me some demos, he initially handed me some subjects that he wished for me to focus on for the different songs. But as he kept sending me more and more demos, he more and more frequently told me that, okay, you can come up with whatever you like with this one. I mean, you can have your own ideas and stuff. So nowadays he very rarely tells me what the song should be all about or anything. But he completely trusts me now, I think, when it comes to that. So occasionally he has opinions about what, but it has basically to do with the music, the kind of music. If the song sounds Eastern, then the music sounds Eastern, for instance, then it should obviously be about some Eastern theme, and whatever, So that's totally logical. So No, I wouldn't say that he has any restraints on me in that aspect. No, to 95% we do agree on everything from the get-go, and so that it's a huge privilege to be writing lyrics for Therion in general, I would say, because I always get to hear my work being performed by world-class singers, all across the spectrum. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, of course, and he's right to trust you, of course, because you are doing a great job with this. This is now three works for Therion, and in the lyric way, because we know that you have a relationship of years. When you face a letter in a language that is not yours, what is your work process? We know that a magician doesn't reveal all his tricks, or he shouldn't. But is there anything you can tell us about this process?
Well, I mean, I do have quite a broad sort of knowledge when it comes to different languages. I can't speak Spanish or French or German or anything like that fluently, but I can come up with some decent lyrics for the way I want them to be, and then I always get some native speaking person to check the grammatics and stuff, and as for Spanish, it's no problem. I mean, because we have Rosa in the band, and Thomas can even check that out quite well, so that is not a problem at all. And as for the more mythological, different ancient languages, I mean, they are often magically connected. So that's a different area in a way, because that doesn't really have. Well, it has grammar, of course, but it's not the way that we are used to learn languages in school or anything similar. It's totally different.
Yeah, because we have to mix the poetry in the lyrics, and I think it's a very different process. And Thomas Wikström is also he's started speaking Spanish, as I know. The last time I speak with him, he knows more words than other occasions. And do you guys reunite? I don't know, Vidal, you, Rosalia, and Thomas to check this stuff like this in Spanish lyrics, for example?
Not from Christian. He has very, very little to do with anything connected to the lyrics. But
okay.
As for, like I said, I mean, the Rosa, she can write very, very beautiful lyrics herself. So,
okay.
So she there is a certain song that will probably end up on part 3 of Leviathan, and which where she has actually, I think, improved some of my Spanish lyrics in that one.
Wow.
So, yeah, so I mean that's going to be very interesting to see what she can actually come up with for the final version. There is no ego trip in this. I mean, anyone can contribute if they should.
That's amazing.
Whatever comes out the best will do.
Okay, so you now give us a little spoiler for Leviathan 3.
Yeah, just a little one. Yeah.
What is the biggest difference writing for Therion and for other bands that you can tell us?
Like I mentioned before, I mean the amazing quality of every singer on every album. I mean, it's. I've been fortunate enough, I would say, to be able to provide bands and singers, with great, I mean, world-class quality, with my lyrics. So but I mean, Therion is really, really spectacular in that sense. I would say. I mean, Christopher, he doesn't give up until. I mean, he continues to search until he actually finds the perfect singer for every part. I mean, he just don't throw somebody in. He really, really sort of go full circle with that, and that's admirable, I think.
Yeah, with Thomas Wikström, he have a lot of nuances on his voice. So it's amazing the work that Thomas do, and of course Rosalia, Chiara, Lori, Linnea in the past. They are great singers always in Therion band. That's a pleasure to us, to the fans, to have this whole gamma of voices. We are fascinated with the topics that have been revealed prior, or not topics, that the themes, the songs that have been released prior to the official release of Leviathan 2. Could you tell us something about the topics of Litany of the Fallen, Pazuzu, which, due to popular culture, we know in advance who it is, and Marijin Minar, a little something about these stories, these cultures, these mythologies, something that you want to share with us?
Well, I can just keep it on a very shallow level. I mean, because usually I do think that people should be able to listen to a song and interpret it the way way they wish. But if I mean, Litany of the Fallen is obviously about the gathering of the fallen angels, and in those. And as for Pazuzu, Pazuzu is so much more than just the demon in The Exorcist.
Yeah,
he's actually it has much more to do with the winds of the west and stuff like that. So I mean, if you go back, and the Marji Minar, that has to do with the Muslim culture, and if you go back there. So I mean, I think all of these subjects that I subject myself to, they sort of they play a very different part on making the album, each and every album, whatever it is, very, very diverse. And that is mostly due to the music, like I said, because the lyrics, the themes of the lyrics have to be connected to the actual music. They have to be adapted to the music. I mean, it would be very strange to have sort of a Eastern sound on the music and be writing about Vikings. So if so obviously, and so the music is what really drives the themes, and since the music is very, very diverse, usually, I mean, no song doesn't really sound like the other. That's what makes it very, very exclusive for me, I think, to be able to write, that's like, it's so diverse, it's there are so many themes to choose from, and like I said, I always try to add my sort of poetic side to it, to make it, to give the literate side of it, and to keep that a bit higher. As long as it's singable and as long as it's accurate, for the facts and stuff, then I'm totally happy with the possibility of writing freely, as such, from the way I view the subject matter. Yeah.
We already know about your previous relationship with Therion, which dates practically from the beginning. But I am curious to know what the process was like for you to board the ship again when facing rock opera. How and under what circumstances did Christopher contact you? Maybe you respond this before when you said that Thomas Carlson doesn't have any interest in doing these opera lyrics, but we are correct in that approach?
I think what the main, I don't think that Thomas even got the question, for various reasons, and I won't go into any details about that. You have to ask Christopher, but as for his and Thomas' relationship nowadays. But well, actually, I mean, I've been writing books, fictional books and stuff, and Christopher knows me as a writer, not just as a friend also, but we have always, I mean, as soon as I have made any movies or made any books or stuff, I've always sent them to him, and he has always sent me a promo copy of the next Therion album coming up and so on. And so he knows me as a writer in general. He knows that I'm writing literature in general. So when in 2013, I believe, he contacted me about this upcoming rock opera, and he said, "Well, I have this very basic storyline, but could you please divide this one into chapters? Because I have so much else to do, and I got stuck, and no one else in the band would like to really take this on because they feel that it's outside of their field." And so I got his very basic storyline for the short tale of Antichrist by Vladimir Soloviev.
Yeah.
And I mean, dividing that into chapter took like 10 minutes to do. But while reading it, I of course realized that it needed much more chapters, it needed much more scenes, it needed much more, many more characters, female ones especially, because the original story contains men only. And so I approached Christopher and said, "Well, if you wish, I can come up with some, ideas for the libretto as a whole." And I said, "Sure, go ahead." I could pretty much sense that he was happy that someone else took over some duties because he had so much on his back already.
Yeah.
So it took a couple of months, I believe, and then more or less we had a finished libretto for it.
Wow.
With all the scenes and everything and pretty much arranged. But then it took, I mean, for the first couple of years, it sort of went, I mean, I only occasionally got a few demos here and there because there was so many other stuff and going on. And so, but back in, might have been 2016, I believe, during the spring of 2016, we really went for, going for, pretty much, I think at least 75% of the opera was written in a few months back at that time. So that was full speed ahead. And but that's as soon as the libretto was ready, I should say, I was I asked him if he wanted me to come up with the actual lyrics, the dialogue and the monologues, as we say in music theater.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, absolutely. I mean, show me what you can do." And I presented him with the material, and well, he had. I don't think I had to change a single word as for these lyrics. So he was apparently, I think, quite happy with it, and it was a great experience in general. And I'm talking about, as we mentioned earlier, all these great singers and stuff. I mean, that also contained great opera singers from the Swedish opera scene, and also a few abroad. So that was great. It was a huge honor to be part of that process.
Yeah, because I believe that Beloved Antichrist is the biggest work of Therion in production matters, and I believe that if in this, let's skip the Grammy stuff, but this kind of works deserves more recognition around the world, or maybe the success, if we can use the word success. I don't like it much, but it's more closer to the fan base. But maybe these kind of works deserve more recognition around the world as an act and as an acts of art, because this is all the effort, all the magic that you do with writing lyrics in this short process, and they adapted so well with these kind of amazing singers. These are better. What do you think of that?
Well, as soon as it will be staged one day, I truly hope and believe that it will receive much more recognition.
Yeah,
because I mean, so far you've only heard the soundtrack to a stage performance. I mean, it's like hearing the soundtrack of a movie without seeing the actual movie. So I mean, and the music and the lyrics, and they are written for a stage appearance, for a stage presence. So I mean, it really you have to be able to focus on that while listening to it. But of course, it's not easy to picture it before you know, like 100% at this stage. But once we get a stage, when at least once, and to be able to produce a DVD or you know a Blu-ray, whatever, then who knows what happens? You know, let's see if they. I mean, in the best of circumstances, we might be able to franchise it, and it may travel around the world in different kinds of productions. You know, and that would be great, obviously.
Indeed, I remember I speak with Christopher so long ago about this, and he told me that he wanted to people that doesn't know Therion go to that stage and watch the opera. People will get fascinated about this project, and they don't know anything about Therion prior to approaching this project. Sorry for these bells. It's a problem here in Mexico. The fans of this podcast will understand, but sorry, it's no on my control. But returning to this topic, do you know that Christopher wants to stage the play in Mexico? Is one of his goals to do it in Mexico and like a season in a theater, maybe a short season, but he wanted to develop here the play. Do you know that?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, it was pretty. Mexico City will most likely be the place where it will be set up. I think, you know, Christopher has been speaking a lot to some promoters over there, or producers, you might say, and the preparation was at a pretty advanced stage when the Corona situation happened. So
yeah,
if it were not for the coronavirus, it would have been staged already, I'm quite sure. But I mean, it's we will have to pick up where we left off whenever it's appropriate for it. So, but it's going to be staged, and most likely in Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah, we hope that, and if you are invited to come to that play, because we will be very honored if you came to the.
Thank you very much.
Maybe to the premiere. That would be amazing, and that would be an honor to the fans to have you. Because yeah, the music is written by Christopher, but 50% of the work is yours. you
I mean, the honor will be all mine.
No. Well, for both of the parts, maybe. To finish, tell us a little about your next collaboration with the guys from Ecuador, Night Owl, Insomnia. How did they contact you, and what was the general process? Are there some Spanish lyrics, or all is in English?
Well, I don't think that I will be able to deliver any lyrics. Okay. I mean, fully in Spanish, you know, for many songs or anything like that. That would limit me pretty much, I think, poetically and so on, because it's not a language that I speak fluently, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I mean, we've just been in contact on Facebook for a while, and they really wished for me to collaborate with them, and I said sure, that would be great, because I mean, whatever I think sounds good, I'm interested in doing, and as for that, they have been a bit stuck, I believe, for practical reasons and, you know, social reasons or whatever, with the band, but they are about to produce some more new material coming up, and they want me on board, and I said, well, that will be my honor again, because I really appreciate, especially bands that they're up and coming and, you know, struggling, I mean, to get attention, which is rather difficult nowadays, as we all know. So it's going to be really, really fun I'm just awaiting the first demos coming up, and it might take a few weeks or months more, but, you know, one day it will. I'm very, very much occupied with many other musical projects at the moment, so I really have my calendar pretty much packed
Okay.
already. But I mean, there are always gaps available for nice people and great music.
That's great. That's great that you have a full schedule. And are you writing something right now that is not musical, like a novel, like an academic book, or something that you can tell us? Of course,
not per se, but the way you mention it. But I mean, there is a Therion biography, on the go. So, but it's not going to be finished until, I mean, because so many things are happening now that we are not. There's no point in sort of finishing off at this point because the ball is rolling,
Yeah.
And so we feel that to me, especially, I mean, of course, a premiere of Beloved Antichrist will be a great sort of final note for that biography. And then, of course, I mean, there could be a part two. I mean, because Therion will most likely not sort of quit their business or, call it a day. No,
we hope not.
I mean, Christopher will probably go on for at least 20 more years. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So I mean, that biography will, of course, be sooner or later. You will get to see that as well. And it's great fun working on that as well because I mean it's not just a biography telling the Therion sort of biography from A to Z. That wouldn't be. I mean, you can read that anywhere on the internet.
Yeah, like a Wikipedia.
This will be much more emotionally based again.
Wow.
And so it will be much more about Christopher's thoughts, his experience in during his childhood, his youth, and all these things. So whatever has sort of made him who he is and who he is today. So it's just as much as it's a book, at least at this writing stage, just as much as it's about Therion, it's about Christopher as a person, I would say. But it's let's see what happens with that. But I mean, it's on the roll.
Yeah, and you are doing this labor like a ghost writer with him, or are the
No, it will be purely my name on the sleeve. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's perfect. I believe that's the way to do it, the right way to do it. Because finally you are the writer. Christopher maybe is not a writer, but have the ideas, and that's great. People should be doing what they are specialized in. And I want to share a little something, if it's not a problem. Therion, in 2007, they released the Gothic Kabbalah album, and they inspired me to start writing, not music, but novel. And I have this saga called Sophia, like the perennial Sophia. Yeah, in Spanish, Sophia is like wisdom. I wrote this novel about a girl who she is the wisdom incarnated, and I want to show you the cover. It's sorry, this is a promotion and not paid promotion, but this is the perennial or the eternal sigil. This this is the wisdom, and Sophia the name. This is the girl. And we have a Rosa Cruz. Do you know Rosa Cruz? Maybe you know.
Yeah.
Of course.
Sure.
Of course, you know of the Sophia Tree of Life, and it's a novel, an apocalyptic, manichaeist novel, but with this lore of inspired in the Johannesburg Gothic Kabbalah and all the album also, because and not only the lyrics, the music inspires me a lot. These songs, Perennial Sophia, Adul Runa Rediviva, and all those amazing pieces of art inspire so much to write, to do this. So
the cover looks amazing. So it will be very, very interesting to get to read it one day. Yeah, sure.
I hope.
And as you mentioned, the way of getting writing inspiration from music. That's how I always. I mean, I've been, I'm a photographer, and I've been doing films for many years, and I've been, all kinds of different expressions within the creative sphere. And but regardless of what I've been doing, I've always been. I mean, music has always been my main inspiration for whatever. I mean, even when as I write fictional stuff, I don't necessarily get that much inspired by other books or other authors or anything. I usually it's music that makes me tick, and in every sense of the word, really. So. I totally understand your view on that and your standpoint. So it will be great to read that book someday. It looks great.
Yeah, I hope I could translate to English someday because it's like a big book, and I have now 3.
May I ask, is it self-published or?
Yeah, it's self-published. I publish it on Amazon, a publish house and a publisher. So much years ago in 2012 maybe. But I broke up with that publisher house, and I start to deliver these books all by myself. This is the second one, called Notaricon, and the third one is this one. It's called Alexis. It's about the counterpart of Sophia. I want to say the evil one, but it's not. You cannot expect that all that is black is evil, means evil, and that's an inspiration of this, the tree of life in Gothic Kabbalah. Like in darkness,
that's basically the theme behind Beloved Antichrist as well. You know, what's actually good, what's actually evil. I mean, it's in the eye of the beholder to a large extent. You know,
that's correct.
It's a matter of, I mean, the winner writes history and so forth.
Yeah. That's amazing, and I'm totally attracted to that. And there are gonna be 10 books, so I have work to do. I hope to translate it someday in English, so you can. We'll have the honor if you read it someday.
If you keep that sort of that connection a bit to the to Therion and whatever, then you will have quite a large following possibility already in South and Latin America, as you know.
Yeah.
So I really think you should be going for that kind of promotion for it. Yeah.
Indeed, I started like that, but let's not talk about me a lot. This interview or this chat was an honor for me to know a great person like you, a very well prepared professional.
Thank
like
you very much.
And we in this new podcast, this is an exclusive to have you in this show, if we can call it like a show. And thank you for the exclusive of the Therion biography and the Leviathan 3 that you gave us a little spoiler, but that's okay. It's perfect. I don't think that spoils anything to anyone. And thank you very much for your kind and valuable answers. Anything you want to add or say to your fans in Latin America?
Well, thank you so very much for supporting the band, and it's an honor to be part of this Therion family together with you guys.
That's a great way of thinking, like a family. Yeah, I believe it too. And thank you again, and see you soon. I hope we can meet in the Beloved Antichrist premiere here in Mexico City in a near future, or maybe not, but we hope to get that done. Thank you.
It's not entirely in our hands to decide.
Yeah.
So, but let's hope for the best. Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much, and
thank you very, very much for this. Thank you, and take care.
You too. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Pues nada, todo está terminado. Muchas gracias por quedarse al final del video. Repito mi agradecimiento eterno para Gabriel y sobre todo para Per Albinsson. Estamos ansiosos porque pues ver en qué termina este libro de la biografía de Therion. Me parece bastante interesante. Hacer un libro desde la perspectiva de la juventud de Christopher Johnson es algo pues interesante, y sobre todo porque, como dice, no sería algo repetitivo. Y bueno, ahí tenemos un pequeño adelanto incluso de Leviathan 3, donde probablemente tengamos una tercera canción, o tercera canción en español, esta vez escrita por una persona cuya lengua natal es el español. Entonces no puedo esperar más para ver de qué trata, no sé de qué va, pero estoy muy ansioso. Muchas gracias, chicos, y hasta la próxima.